Now, we see remittances to low and middle income countries that grew by an estimated 3.8% in 2023. And that's a moderation according to the World Bank's latest migration and development brief. Joining us to analyze this now is Ifalade Yodele, CEO and co-founder and founder of Blaze. Join us via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Good to be here, Lani.
Fantastic. So paint a picture. How much did Africans in diaspora remit home, and how does it compare to the previous quarters?
As per data that we have, the last reported was about $100 billion was remitted back home in Africa. And then these are the ones that went to the formal channels, I'd say. So, and then the expectation is that the informal channels probably accounted for 2x that. So that's how it has been. And then in terms of comparison with previous quarters, what we have seen as per reports is that the compound annual growth rate has been about 12% in the last 3 years. So definitely the response to that is it's been on an upward trend. People are sending money home both via formal and informal means.
All right, compared to diasporans outside of Africa, did intra-Africa diaspora find it harder or easier sending money home?
The intra-African diaspora actually have found it harder to send money back home. And then this is due to a number of factors. I think 3 of them I would like to highlight quickly. And then the first one will be, of course, the usual issue with the currencies in the Africans. They're quite volatile. So it's not, it doesn't help the service providers in terms of pricing. That's one. And then secondly, it's in terms of non-harmonization of the regulators across the continent. So unlike other markets in Europe where you have schemes in place like passporting, where if you had a license in one European country, you could use that in other European countries subject to some other little tad bit processes. That is not present in Africa. So you need to actually have each of those things, which also makes people that would like to play in this space to support this burgeoning space, makes it harder for them. And then lastly is that there's no kind of interoperable infrastructure. So like you have in Europe where account numbers are IBANs and works in Germany, works in France. That is not the case here. It's Momo, it's EcoBank, it's all of those banking players. So it's not very interoperable. So all of these have accounted for the players to actually now have to mark up their pricing, hence making it difficult for the intra-African remittance space and then Africans in these spaces.
And I guess that will be played into cost of actually sending funds home. So how is technology playing into the remittance process? Any new trends to look out for?
I think that it is played in 2 ways. First is in the retail space. So when I talk about retail space, it's for use cases such as people sending family support, money for family support, cultural and contributions to their families. So in that space, it is really technology has played a role in where mobile money operators now facilitate remittance across markets. That's one. And then secondly, we also started to see players adopt cryptocurrency and the blockchain to facilitate these money movements. And then lastly, we've also seen things which I like to call conversational remittance, where we've seen players start to leverage existing platforms such as WhatsApp, Telegram to facilitate transfers between users or people that would like to remit money. And then on the second leg, which is for, I would say, quite sizable volumes where they're not sending money necessarily for family support, where they're probably doing it for financial obligations back home, investments, asset management. We've seen technology help with things like predictive market analysis for insights in terms of rates and how to go about it. We've also seen it play in places where they're able to schedule payments for times depending on how the market is playing. And then lastly, we've seen it play in terms of the players themselves, how they're able to optimize their operations to support this movement of money across the continent.
All right, thank you so much. But before I let you go, what are you expecting for 2024 in terms of remittances?
I think it would continue to grow. The contribution of remittance to GDPs of countries is now very obvious. Some countries, it's contributed to about 14% of the total GDP in Africa. So that is one. And then secondly is that the increased adoption of mobile to mobile remittance, where it's now deemed to be more efficient, faster, and cheaper for people to move money. And then lastly, because of the more intrinsic issues such as Africans, where there seems to be a strong attention of family values and all of that. So people will constantly need to send money home. And then maybe lastly would be that the continent is growing, the young population is growing, so people will constantly move out. As of the last time, it was like 2 million Africans moving out of the continent to other African countries and out of the continent annually.